Leviathan Wakes is the first book in The Expanse, a sci-fi adventure mystery drama in space. In our last video, we explained the cultures and politics of the series, but what happens in Leviathan Wakes, and what does it mean? 8 years ago, a corporation called Protogen explored Phoebe, a small moon of Saturn, and they found that Phoebe is no moon, it's actually a weapon created by aliens. Billions of years ago, Phoebe was launched across interstellar space, carrying a kind of virus called the protomolecule. The protomolecule infects and changes life forms for some alien purpose. Protogen executive Dresden tries to control the protomolecule, to use it so humans can rewrite their own biology, and to make Protogen rich and powerful. Dresden studied the protomolecule by infecting people on Phoebe, who all died. The molecule seemed to need more biomass, so Dresden and Protogen plan an experiment to infect Eros, feeding 1 million people to the protomolecule. They put some molecule on a stealth ship called the Anubis and send it at Eros, but along the way, the Anubis meets Julie Mao. Julie is the daughter of Jules-Pierre Mao, a powerful businessman. His company, Mao Kwiatkowski, secretly works with Protogen planning the Eros experiment. Julie wants freedom and independence from her rich family, so she leaves home and joins the OPA, a political group fighting for Belter rights. Julie works with OPA leader Anderson Dawes on Ceres, and she pilots a courier ship called the Scopuli. Julie finds out that her father is transporting some weapon, so she and the OPA intercept the Anubis. But the Scopuli is overwhelmed, the crew's taken prisoner on the Anubis, and Julie's locked in storage. Then, the Anubis uses the empty Scopuli as a trap. They plant a Martian transmitter on the Scopuli and send a distress beacon. The Sirenum Scopuli are the islands of the Sirens of Greek mythology, who lure sailors to their deaths, because the Scopuli lures a nearby Belter ship called the Canterbury. Then the Anubis destroys the Cant. But the Martian transmitter they planted makes it look like Mars killed the Cant. Protogen does this to create conflict between Mars and the Belt, to distract everyone from the Eros experiment. But Protogen underestimates the Cant, and its executive officer, James Holden. Holden is from Earth, and he served in the UN Navy, the Space Force, but he got disillusioned with the authoritarian UNN, so he left and got work on the Canterbury. Holden's an idealist. He believes in truth and justice and doing the right thing. He's a natural leader, self-sacrificing, a classic hero type. When the Cant is destroyed, Holden leads the survivors, Naomi, Amos, Alex, and Shed. Holden helps bring them together as a team, but he also makes rash decisions. He tries to chase down the Anubis to bring them to justice, which would probably just get them killed. Naomi has to stop him from being an idiot. But then Holden does something even dumber. He makes a broadcast telling the universe that someone with a Martian transmitter killed the Cant. It is the truth, and Holden believes people need to know, but spreading this news creates conflict between Mars and the Belt, which is exactly what Protogen wants. Holden's sense of honesty and justice helps cause a war. Holden's also forced to question his sense of romance. Naomi points out that Holden has a habit of treating every little crush like it's true love. It's only after Holden changes his behavior that he and Naomi get together. She helps Holden become a more mature lover, as well as a better leader. So from the beginning, Holden's naive idealism around love and truth and justice are challenged, especially by the other main character, Miller. Miller is a detective for private security on Ceres, and unlike Holden, he believes that moral flexibility is necessary. He'll destroy evidence, make shady deals, if that's what it takes to get shit done. Miller has a complex identity, because he's a Belter born on Ceres, but he works for an Earth-owned company, policing Belters. So some Belters see him as a traitor to his people. At the start of the book, Miller finds that the crime gangs of Ceres are strangely inactive lately, and Ceres Security's riot gear is stolen. We later learn that the reason for this is that Protogen hires Ceres thugs to help run their experiment on Eros, and the thugs take Ceres riot gear with them. This is a problem for Miller when Belters riot over the destruction of the Cant, thanks to Holden's broadcast. Miller gets assigned a new job. Jules-Pierre Mao wants Julie found and taken home. At first, Miller dismisses Julie as a poor little rich girl, but while investigating her activity on Ceres, he starts to respect her. She's capable, smart, and she's tough, learning jujitsu after being attacked one time. By joining the OPA, Julie sacrificed a life of wealth and privilege for a cause that she believes in. Miller is a nihilistic, empty man, worn down by the corruption and horror of his police work. But Julie inspires him to believe in something. Miller believes in Julie. When Miller gets fired for being unreliable, renegade, and drunk, he loses the career that had defined him. All he has left as a purpose in life is finding Julie. Meanwhile, Holden and crew are captured by a Martian flagship called the Donager, but then the Donager's attacked by Protogen stealth ships. Holden's crew escapes on a Martian ship, except Shed is randomly killed by a stray Gauss round. Some of the characters and plot of The Expanse began as a pen-and-paper role-playing game run by Ty Frank. When the person playing Shed left this game, Shed's character had to be suddenly removed, and that's why Shed's death comes so suddenly in the story. Anyway, Protogen destroys the Donager, but Mars thinks the Belt did it, which leads to war between Mars and the Belt. So Protogen's plan works. Their false flag attacks cause a war that distracts everyone from Eros. Holden and crew settle in to their new Martian ship. Holden names it Rocinante. This is a reference to Don Quixote, the story of a wannabe knight who attacks windmills thinking they're giants. So the name Rocinante evokes adventure and heroism, but also idealistic silliness, which pretty much sums up Holden. The Roci crew take refuge with Fred Johnson, an OPA leader whose company is building a giant Mormon spaceship called the Nauvoo. Through the OPA, Fred worked with the Scopuli, and he gets a message connected to the Scopuli from Eros, so Holden and crew go and investigate. Miller follows the Roci crew to Eros and helps them survive an attack by Protogen's men. Then together they find Julie Mao, dead from the protomolecule. Because what happened was, after the Protogen ship Anubis captured the Scopuli and destroyed the Cant, their protomolecule sample leaked, killing everyone on board except for Julie in storage. Julie later broke out and hid the Anubis, then went to Eros, but she'd been infected, so she slowly, horrifically died alone. Losing the Anubis was a problem for Protogen, because they needed that protomolecule sample for Eros. So Protogen follows Holden to Julie, and uses her infected body as the seed to start the Eros experiment. For crowd control, Protogen uses those thugs from Ceres with the stolen riot gear, who now call themselves Carne pour la Machina, meat for the machine. They fake an emergency and lead the people of Eros into radiation shelters, which are actually used to infect everyone with the protomolecule. Infected people become zombies, the Ceres thugs fight, Holden and Miller get irradiated. It's a bad time. And amidst all the suffering and violence, Miller starts to welcome death. He's tired and broken and just wants release from his trauma and pain. His only sense of hope is his imagination of Julie, the ghost of this dead girl he's never met. Miller and Holden work together and escape Eros alive, but they also clash over their differences. Holden stops Miller from shooting an infected person, says Miller doesn't get to decide who lives and dies. Miller criticizes Holden for publicly broadcasting sensitive information. Like, Holden broadcasts evidence connecting Protogen's ships to Earth, so then Earth attacks Mars and destroys the moon of Deimos, making the worst war in history even worse. Holden thinks that telling everyone the truth is the right thing to do and the best way to make peace. But Miller argues that the truth can be dangerous. You gotta be more strategic to get good outcomes. There is no right thing to do, just a whole bunch of maybe a little less wrong. So Miller challenges Holden's simplistic view of the world and helps him to see the complexity and the shades of grey. Miller and the Roci crew find the Anubis where Julie had hidden it, and then they destroy it as symbolic justice for the Cant. They also learn about Protogen's experiment on Eros, so they team up with Fred and the OPA to attack Protogen's research base, Thoth Station. Thoth was an Egyptian god associated with science and with the judgment of the dead. Holden, Miller, and Fred take the station and confront Dresden, the architect of the Eros project. Instead of fighting or begging mercy, Dresden makes rational arguments why the Eros project should continue. He says studying the protomolecule is worth killing 1 million people, because the power to rewrite biology would let humans expand to distant stars. He says the protomolecule proves that there are hostile aliens out there, and humans will need the power of the protomolecule if they face its creators. And besides, Eros is already infected, so stopping the project won't save anyone. It'll only waste the data and make those people die for nothing. Holden is disgusted by Dresden's cold logic, but he sees that Dresden may have a point. When Miller sees that people are actually listening to evil Space Mengele, he kills Dresden on the spot. And Holden is outraged that Miller would kill someone in cold blood, says it's inhuman and unjust. What about a trial? What makes Miller the judge, jury, and executioner? Miller argues that with Dresden's power and connections, he was going to get away with his crimes and continue his experiments, so killing Dresden had to be done. But Holden can't trust someone who unilaterally headshots people he disagrees with, so Holden kicks Miller out of the Roci crew. And Miller is devastated. He'd started to think of the Roci as his home, his family, but now he's alone, with no home, no job, no friends. He feels that the hard choices he's made to survive have cut him off from human connection, left him empty and numb. He compares himself to Protogen. Miller's only hope for connection and redemption is his imagination of Julie. "You belong with me," she says. Eros, infected with the protomolecule, does some freaky stuff. The bodies of the people of Eros are reshaped into Cronenbergian fleshscapes, like Hieronymus Bosch made real. Eros broadcasts ghostly voices made from the audio files and the minds of the 1 million people it consumed. Holden, Miller, and Fred are worried that this horror show might spread, so they plan to take the giant Mormon spaceship, the Nauvoo, and slam it into Eros to knock the whole asteroid into the sun, ending the threat of the protomolecule. Miller sets up bombs on Eros, then he chooses to stay there. He feels too tired and broken to ever reconnect to humanity. Miller just wants to die with Julie. He watches as the Nauvoo, the hammer of God, fills the sky, screams towards him, then misses. The voice of Eros shouts, "Don't you fucking touch me," and the whole asteroid moves, uses some alien force to dodge the Nauvoo. Then Eros starts moving towards Earth, apparently to infect the population. But Miller realizes that the ghostly voice of Eros includes Julie. The Eros protomolecule's mind grew from Julie. It infected her, and she infected it. Deep in Eros, Miller finds the infected Julie. She's controlling Eros, dreaming that she's flying her ship, the Razorback. When she says, "Don't you fucking touch me," she's remembering that time that she was attacked. Her memories and personality are intertwined with the alien mind. So Miller speaks with Julie and convinces her to fly Eros to Venus instead of Earth. He removes his helmet and lets the protomolecule take him as he and Julie and Eros descend into the clouds of Venus. The cynical, nihilistic Miller finds something to believe in. And Holden is left a more mature and experienced hero, able to question his idealistic view of the world and himself, which helps him face the dangers of later books, including what emerges from Venus. So Leviathan Wakes explores different perspectives on how to live in a complex universe. Rationality and cold realism gets shit done, but love and belief give life meaning. The Expanse is about futuristic technology and fantastic worlds, but it's grounded in the same human passions, flaws, and ideals that cause conflict today. Whether on Earth or among the stars, the problems we have are the ones we bring with us. In the Expanse TV show, Miller finds a data broker who hides a data chip inside his own leg, but there are easier ways to protect your data. Dashlane is a password manager that generates and remembers secure passwords for all your sites. It's secure, easy to use, and free, so sign up to Dashlane at the link below. You can also use the offer code for 10% off a premium membership, which includes syncing devices, a VPN, and a gig of encrypted cloud storage, which is much more convenient than leg storage. Sign up below to help AltShiftX and help you stay secure. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Expanse co-author Daniel Abraham for help with the script, and to History of Westeros and Brandon for feedback. Thanks to patrons Invisible Floyd, Beth Quizada, Terry Thomas, Fuzzy the Fair, Patrick Brown, Emac, and Hedwig. Cheers.